Hello everybody, Andy here again. Right, I was watching a video the other day by Matt Harding, the guy who did that sort of silly dancing all around the world, and which was very enjoyable and has got sort of millions and millions of views. And I watched his most recent one, and he went back to the Solomon Islands. Those people who maybe have watched the original sort of dancing video, there was a piece of music in there. Anyway, to cut the story short, it turned out that it was like an old traditional folk song from the Solomon Islands, and he went back to try and trace the origins of the song and see if the people were still alive in this. But he was talking about the language that was there, because the language in that particular part of the world, the old sort of ethnic native language, if you want to call it that, is dying out and it's being taken over by English. And this is happening across the world, and that's the point of this video, is that it's a subject I was going to tackle anyway, but this has sort of brought it back to my mind, because he was saying a lot of the words there are just dying out and people don't know them anymore, and it's only the sort of elder statesmen of the tribes or the people, the native people, that actually know what some of these words mean. You just can't translate them, or just gone out of use, and they're just being used and being replaced by English. And I was reading an article the other day about Africa, and apparently in Africa there are 2,000 separate languages. Now obviously some of those languages aren't spoken by very many people at all. Here in Britain, for example, we've got, apart from English, we've got sort of Celtic languages. We've got Breton, which is partly sort of French, but is spoken, or can be spoken, some people know it. We've got Welsh and the Cornish languages and things like this, but obviously spoken by very, very few people, and they're dying out. Now, it's a bit like with the extinction of plants, animal species, etc., etc., that once these languages have gone, you're never going to get them back, and I think that's a real pity. Now, yes, I speak English, and it's great to be a speaker of what is probably the world's most popular language, certainly by influence, I suppose, maybe not by the amount of people that speak it. We've got Chinese and that, and Spanish is another one that's very widely spoken. It's probably like a second language in the world, although I have read recently that even in Britain people are starting to learn Mandarin now. Maybe that's a sign of the times, sort of the shape of things to come, maybe. But I just wonder if anybody else is bothered about this. It's one of those things that it bothers me. Yes, I know not many people maybe speak these languages, but we're losing something here. The sort of the homogenisation of the world, I suppose, is one of these things that's come about, and the internet, I should imagine, is sort of partly responsible for that. Most of the internet language is done in English, isn't it? And it encourages all those sort of people from across the world that they have to learn English to get on in life, I suppose, and get on with their jobs, their careers. English is, if it's not the main language, it's usually the second language that people learn, and English people are very bad at actually learning other languages. Now, yes, you might think, well, 2,000 languages in Africa alone, and I haven't got a clue how many there are across the world. Do we really need all of those languages? Well, no, we don't need all of those languages, but I think it's a pity. It's the same, you know, a language dying out is the same as a giant panda or something like that dying out. Once it's gone, as I said, you're never going to get it back again, and I think that's a real pity. I just hope that there are people out there actually preserving these languages, putting them onto sort of discs or into databases or something, preserving them for us, because one of these days those languages will disappear and there won't be very many left. The tribes are dying out, tribes are sort of dispersing, and all of these things. It's we look back at the way that the world was in a romantic way. We are moving forward, but sometimes that progress does come at a cost, and this is one of those costs. I think ways of life are dying out across the world, and languages are dying out, and I think that's a bit of a pity. But anyway, that's my thoughts, and I'd be interested to know if anybody else feels the same way. Does anybody else care? But I do, and I suspect quite a lot of you do as well. Maybe you weren't aware about that. But anyway, watch Matt's video, Matt Hardy's latest video. It's quite an interesting video anyway. Gives you an insight into that other video that he did about the dancing. I didn't realise it was quite as involved. I thought it was just a guy going around the world dancing, but there was a bit more to it than that. Anyway, thanks for your time. I'll speak to you again soon. Goodbye.